My name is Bailey Wright. I work as the District 1 4-H program specialist, and today we're going to do a quick overview of the food show contest specific here to District 1. So I do want to preface this by saying our food show is probably our fall contest that's the most different this year in terms of being compared to years past. It's also the contest that is most different from the state guidelines. So we highly encourage you, if you're competing in the D1 4-H food show, make sure you're getting your information off of the District 1 4-H website because it is a little different. We've made changes that we think are going to make it a more positive experience for our juniors and intermediates. And we've made a few changes to make sure that we are adhering to local and state health guidelines. So with that being said, let's jump right in. The basics of this contest are that it's an individual contest. So maybe if you're someone that food challenge, the team schedule doesn't work out for you, you don't have that time commitment, but you want to be involved in a foods type contest, I think this is perfect for you. It's something that you practice at home on your own time schedule. So this is really good for those individuals who have really busy schedules. You do prepare your dish ahead of time. I think most contestants probably prepare their dish a few times at their house, just practicing it, making sure they really know the steps to making it and are familiar with all the ingredients. But even on contest day, you're going to prepare your dish ahead of time before you come to the contest. Once you get to the contest, you will present your dish to the judges. This year's theme is grocery games. So the theme for this year isn't something that you necessarily have to cook a certain type of dish, but the main component is we want your dish to cost $10 or less. So when you go buy all the ingredients for your dish, we need to make sure you stay under $10 in order to fit this year's theme. So we're going to focus on the dish first. There's 4 different categories that you can compete in: main dish, side dish, appetizer, or healthy dessert. So for appetizers, traditionally we all know an appetizer is a small dish that's eaten prior to the main course. So when you're thinking about what you're going to make, if you want to do the appetizer category, you should consider foods that are lower in fat, sodium, and calories because we don't want them to ruin someone's appetite before the main dish. The main dish is usually the heaviest, heartiest, most substantial dish in a meal. A lot of times the key ingredient is a source of protein, but it can contain other key ingredients as well. Side dishes are just that. They're foods that are usually served along with the main dish. Some ideas for that might be a salad, cooked vegetables, fruit, pasta, rice dishes, or a combination of any of those. And then a healthy dessert. Healthy can still mean delicious when it comes to desserts. Dishes in this category should be served at the end of the meal or for special occasions. Contestants should modify a traditional dessert recipe with the healthy substitution. And definitely consider My Plate and dietary guidelines when selecting all your recipes, but especially in this healthy dessert category. If you have questions about what fits in each category, definitely reach out to your county extension agent and they can help you clarify what type of recipes and dishes would go best in each category. Again, these categories are new this year and they are the same for all 3 age groups: juniors, intermediates, and seniors. Okay, just a few tips for when you're selecting your dish/recipe. Make sure it fits into the category that you're wanting to enter in. So let's just say you enter something that's probably more of an appetizer and a side dish, you're going to automatically lose so much points in the contest. So make sure your recipe and dish really fit the category. Again, this year we've got to stay under $10. $10 or less for our recipe. This isn't a have to, but it's something that I highly suggest, not just this year, but every year. 10 ingredients or less. I think anything above that is probably too much for some of our, especially when we're talking younger 4-Hers, to really grasp and be able to remember what all's in their dish and understand the nutritional value of each ingredient. So I think keeping our recipes 10 ingredients or less is a great idea, especially if you're new to 4-H food show. All of our dishes need to be healthy and nutritious. We talked about it on healthy dessert. We especially want to make sure that one's following dietary guidelines. But our goal in the 4-H Food and Nutrition Project is to make sure participants understand how to live a healthy lifestyle when it comes to food. So we want to make sure they all have a decent nutritional content there. My advice would be on any recipe, look and see how you can substitute one or two items. Maybe it's substituting full fat sour cream for low fat sour cream, something as simple as that, just to make sure we've made a few adjustments to try and make it as healthy as possible. Garnishing is encouraged. This contest is a lot because judges aren't eating or tasting your dish. It's a lot based on how the dish looks. So edible garnishes are encouraged, but they must be edible. Okay, this is another aspect. The only paperwork you have to submit ahead of time for the food show is this recipe submission. I'll show y'all where y'all can find this. All of this is on the D1-4-H website. So right here on the far right is what your recipe submission paperwork looks like. You'll select your category, your county, your age division, name of recipe, prep time, cook time, cost. Again, that cost needs to be under $10, and type your recipe here. This is definitely something that we want typed, and so if you don't have access to a computer, work with your county extension agent. They will help you to make sure you can get this typed in this form. Sometimes those forms are a little tricky. And then we also provided a few examples, which I'll show y'all where you can find these as well. This is a great checklist to know what all needs to be included on your recipe. And here's a recipe example that gives you some hints on how to really write a recipe. And this is a great skill for us to teach our 4-Hers how to read and write a recipe and follow a recipe. So this is really important. That's why we include this step, but we definitely give you some resources and tools to make sure you can write your recipe. Again, that's the only thing that'll be done ahead of time. And here in District 1, you'll submit those on 4-H Connect when you register. So be in communication with your county extension agent about that. Kitchen time. So kitchen time is after you show up to the contest, we will assign everyone a kitchen time. Everyone doesn't show up at 8 a.m. You're assigned different kitchen times and interview times. So you'll show up for your kitchen time. And this is probably different than what it's looked like in the past. Because this year we are having to follow social distancing guidelines, we're having to do lots of sanitizing and disinfecting between each kiddo, each 4-H member when they come to the kitchen. We're encouraging everyone to prep as much ahead of time as possible. Again, let me reiterate, no one tastes these dishes. You're not judged off of taste. So if it's a warm dish and it's not quite as warm as it should be, no one will know. If it's a cold dish and it's not quite as cold as it should be, no one will know. So we are highly, highly encouraging you to prep as much ahead of time as you can. Seniors, will give you 15 minutes of prep time. The only thing that we will have available for those seniors is a microwave and workspace. No oven, no stovetop, nothing like that. So if there's something you need in order to do those last minute touches to your dish, you have to bring it, including knives, cutting boards, bowls, spoons, whatever it is. If you need a toaster oven, you have to bring your own toaster oven, and that's for seniors. For juniors and intermediates, we're not, again, because we're trying to follow all those special guidelines this year, we're not really going to allow you to prep much at all. We're giving you 10 minutes, and it's for final touches only. We won't have a microwave there for you. We're just going to have a workspace. So examples of final touches that you might do, if it's just putting your dish together. Let's say, for example, you're making a chicken salad sandwich. If you have your chicken salad in a bowl and your bread and just want to slap your chicken salad on the bread, put the sandwich together, great. If you just need to add dressing to a salad, great. But we don't want you cooking, chopping. We don't want you bringing knives or any sort of electrical kitchen equipment. Truly, truly for juniors and intermediates. You only have 10 minutes. We just want it to be final touches. Some of you may not even need your kitchen time. Still show up for your kitchen time. We'll put you in that area so you can get mentally prepped, and then that's when we'll take you from the kitchen area to the judges table. Again, if you have questions on this, talk to your county agents. They can help clarify anything that I don't make clear. Okay, now to the components of the contest. So this is after you have prepped your dish, and showed up to the contest and gone through your kitchen time. For juniors and intermediates, you will do an interview. It's strictly Q&A style. There's no presentation to it. So you'll walk up to the judges. There'll be two judges. You'll introduce yourself. You'll give them your name and the name of your dish, and then they will immediately start asking you questions. They have 4 minutes to ask you questions. But here's the great part. You already know what the questions are going to be. This is the scorecard, the junior and intermediate scorecard, and they are going to go straight down the list and ask you these questions. So you know what to prep for. That's how you practice, is by figuring out what the answers to these questions are for you and practicing those answers. Again, they'll go straight down the scorecard. This is a great resource for you to practice with. Don't give a presentation. It's strictly question and answer style. So after juniors and intermediates go through these questions, your last step is you serve the judges one serving. Even though there's two judges, you're just going to serve one serving from your dish. So if it's a smoothie, we will have everything you need in terms of cups, plates, bowls, napkins there. So if it's a smoothie, we'll have a little cup for you. You'll pour them a serving, give it to the judges. If it's a casserole, we'll have a plate there for you. You need to bring your serving utensil. So if it's a smoothie, you're probably just pouring out of something. You probably don't need a utensil. If you're grabbing something out of a casserole, you probably need a spatula. You need to bring that. Whatever your serving utensil is, you need to bring. If you need gloves, let's say you've made healthy cookies and are just going to hand them the cookie, you need to have a glove on. You don't have to have a glove on if you're using a serving utensil. That's a little confusing too. There basically just needs to be one barrier between your hand and what you're serving. So if you're going to grab it with your hands, you definitely want gloves on. If you're not going to touch the food with your hands, you don't have to have gloves on because you're using a serving utensil. If you want to have gloves on anyways, that's great. But make sure you understand that and talk with your agent about that and bring whatever serving utensil you need. We won't have that available for you. I'll also tell y'all, if it's a casserole, sometimes it's great to go ahead and have, or something like that, your little square that you're going to serve cut out. And then all you have to do is just scoop it out. You don't have to cut and scoop there at the table. And then for juniors and intermediates, after you've done your interview and served them your dish, you're done. The contest is done for you, and you will be scored off of your interview and your dish and what you know about your dish. So that's the end of the contest for you. For seniors, this year we have a few new sections. So seniors, stick with me. Seniors do give a presentation, not so much an interview. You have 5 minutes to present your dish. Obviously, you'll introduce yourself and your dish. You'll talk about the inspiration behind your dish, how and why you made what you made. And then you cover these key points on the scorecard. Everyone always asks, what needs to be in my presentation? Right here on the scorecard, it tells you, how does the theme fit with your dish? All of this knowledge about my plate needs to be included in your presentation. Key nutrition knowledge, food prep needs to be included in your presentation, and safety concerns and practices need to be included in your presentation. If you don't cover one of these things in your presentation, you're going to lose points. So that's 5 minutes worth of presentation. Then the judges have 4 minutes to ask you questions. I have some example questions that I'll show y'all in just a minute. And so that's what goes into your interview, is 5 minute presentation that hopefully covers all these, and 4 minutes of questions. Plus, for seniors, we are doing presentation. For juniors and intermediates, the presentation of your dish does not factor into your scorecard because we're not giving y'all basically any kitchen prep opportunity. Since we are giving seniors kitchen prep opportunity, the presentation appearance of your food will play into that. Okay, let's go to the next stages for seniors. So after you do your presentation and after the judges ask you questions, we're going to ask you to do a skills showcase. For the district contest, we've narrowed it down to 4 skills. We will pick one of these skills. You won't know what it is until you go to the contest, and then we'll show you which skill that we'll tell you which skill you're going to need to be able to show for us. So the 4 skills are measuring wet and dry ingredients, explaining cross-contamination, setting a table, and knife safety. And I'll go over these resources in just a minute as well. And so you won't bring any supplies with you to the contest for that. We will have all the supplies you need sitting there on the table. Then after you do your skills showcase, there's a knowledge showcase, which is essentially a quiz. It's a 10-question quiz. You'll have 5 minutes to do your 10-question quiz. Resources are a little broad. For the state, they've basically told you they're not providing a set resource document. Anything under the food and nutrition page on the state page is a resource. I'm going to show y'all what resources we'll be using for district. I'm feeling nice, so I'm going to show y'all what resources you should focus on studying for. I'm also going to show y'all a few things. So let's switch over screens so I can show you a few things I want to show y'all on some websites. Okay, first off, going to the state website, in terms of that senior knowledge showcase, the quiz, I'm going to tell y'all exactly which things y'all need to study. These 10 tips to save more at the grocery store for the district quiz, study that. Study these 20 money-saving grocery tips. Study, let me find the My Plate mini poster. Study Know Your Nutrients and the Fight Back brochure. That should be 5. Those are the 5 resources we're going to utilize to make that quiz for district. For state, I think you need to probably study the rest of these in addition to those. But again, only the first place from each category in the senior level will advance to state. Okay, so let's go back to the skills showcase. I want to show y'all a couple things on that to be prepared for. Sorry, I'm flipping through my papers to make sure I show y'all the right things. Okay, so for dry and wet measuring, what to study there. And if y'all have it, these right here are Explore guides. They're great resources. So let's go to Cooking in the Kitchen, this Explore guide. Measuring dry ingredients and measuring liquid ingredients. To be able, if that's the skill that we choose to do at district, I would study these 2 lessons to get yourself prepared for that. In terms of knives, this last one, knives and chopping, I would study that, lesson 5 out of this Explore guide. And then there's one more thing for knives I think y'all should study. Let me see. Kitchen Safety Guide. This is the Kitchen Safety Guide, Explore book. I believe, yep, it's the last lesson in here, lesson 6, Making the Cut. Study that as well. For cross-contamination, go to this Keeping Food Safe guide and study, let's see, study squirmy germs, study Clean and Separate, especially this one, and study Cook and Chill. And that should get you prepared to be able to explain what cross-contamination is. And then for table setting, you can look up lots of different resources on the internet to know how to properly set a table. And we won't be too fancy. We'll keep it pretty basic at the district contest. But do know, we've narrowed it down to those 4 for the district contest. At the state, you'll need to follow their guide on their website, which leads me to a couple more things. Essentially, these are all the food show resources. If anyone is looking for resources, they're right here. But to know our contest rules, if you go to the D1 4-H website, under 4-H events, go to 4-H events and contest, food show. We have a whole guide, our D1 food show guide. So a lot of the documents I referenced in that PowerPoint, the score sheet, all of that is in this D1 food show guide. Definitely read through that if you're planning on participating. If you want to look at the scorecards so that you can start prepping your presentation or your interview, here's the scorecards. We've got a different one for seniors than we do juniors and intermediates. Here's that recipe form that you'll turn in when you register for the contest. And here are some example questions for seniors. The judges don't have to stick to these questions, but I think these are questions that you should be prepared for. So hopefully we've given you everything you need to be able to study for the food show. I know that was a quick overview, but I hope it was helpful and maybe you know kind of what the game plan is and what's expected. If you have further questions that I did not clarify, make sure you reach out to your county extension agent.